guys, this is Lindsay with Garage Gym Reviews. Today I've been blessed and chosen by the Garage Gym Review gods to do not a cardio review. Even though, guys, to be honest, I'm kind of becoming quite fond of reviewing like cardio equipment. Like, it's like my bread and butter now, you know? Like, I'm really getting into the groove of like talking about ellipticals and treadmills. But today we are going to do kettlebells, and not just any kettlebells, but I've been trusted with a brand like Rogue. Now, Rogue in general is like a brand that most people know. Even if you're not totally in the fitness space, I'm sure you've heard of the brand Rogue. Like, it's everywhere. I mean, they're a huge factor in the CrossFit Games, in a bunch of CrossFit gyms. They use a lot of their products. For instance, I've been going to a CrossFit gym for like the better part of 3 years, and they have a ton of Rogue kettlebells there. And even though they have experienced some wear and tear, I mean, these things are like beat to hell on a daily basis. They have stood the test of time. Now, not only do I have them at a CrossFit gym, but I also have it at my own garage home gym that I have now. I use them, my kids use them, my husband uses them. And again, they are solid kettlebells. They are well built. But today I want to talk about, obviously you can kind of see to the side of me are two different types of kettlebells. Rogue actually has kind of like 3 variations of these kettlebells. But before we get into all the specifics of why that is and what makes them different, be sure you are subscribed to our channel so you can continue to see me, all things fitness, all cardio equipment, and maybe some kettlebell reviews. Also, if you want to purchase any of these products, go ahead and use the link below the like button. When you use that link, it doesn't cost you anything extra. It just gives us a small commission, and we really appreciate it when you do that. Okay, let's talk about the Rogue kettlebells. Now, Rogue predominantly sells most of their equipment out of the USA. That's been what they have known for, but there are some things that they have sourced elsewhere to be manufactured. So things like their kettlebells, things like their bumper plates, even some dumbbells. So overall, they do sell mostly out of the USA, but again, there are specific items that they haven't been able to manufacture as well in the USA. Now, that has been the case with the kettlebells, but they have actually come up with a new design, a new code. We're gonna get into the specifics of that, but is their new Eco kettlebell. Obviously, you can tell me there is one not like the others, and that is because it is their new Eco kettlebell. Okay, so in their search, they have found Cadillac Casting out of Cadillac, Michigan. Now, this is a company most known for making automotive parts, but they have actually started to cast and make and produce the e-kettlebells from Rogue. Now, obviously, kettlebells are a super simple product. You kind of have like their base and their handle. And you would think that like all kettlebells are the same, but that's just really not true. I mean, there have been some cheaper kettlebells that we have tested where the balance fell completely off. So let's say I'm doing like a bottoms up press and we found like a cheap kettlebell versus something like a Rogue kettlebell. The balance of that kettlebell has been completely different. And I think when it comes to aspects of like kettlebell training, so if you're doing kettlebell swings, if you're doing bottom up presses, they're used for more of like a dynamic movement. You really want that kettlebell to feel ultra balanced. And I think that Rogue has done a really good job of their casting, of their process, to make these kettlebells feel ultra balanced. Now, one thing that I do wish were a little bit different about their Eco, and truth be told, I would choose the Eco after testing them over their powder coated kettlebells or their regular kettlebells. But one thing I do wish were different about the Eco kettlebell is the fact that it doesn't have any color. So I really like the fact that they're in different colors. I can easily mark, okay, which one is like 8 kilograms, you know, which one is the 26 pounds, which was the 53 pounds, whatever the case may be. But with the Eco, they are entirely black, so there's not like an easy way to spot the difference between weight. Truth be told, I think that the longevity of the Eco and how it is manufactured, and I am gonna get into the specifics of that, I promise, but I think that it is just like above and beyond any other kettlebell on the market today. And I wouldn't be surprised if Rogue like phased out their other production, their other line of kettlebell altogether in the next coming years. Okay, so when we're talking about the powder coat kettlebells, in order to achieve that, essentially what they do is you have your cast, you have your kettlebell, and then they use a powder coat. So similar to what you would find on a typical squat rack. So a Rogue squat rack, even like Titan Fitness, you would use a powder coat on that. Now with a powder coat, it does hold up over time, but eventually when you're doing dynamic movements, if you're doing like a clean or a double clean with kettlebells and they knock together, eventually that powder coat can start to rust, it can start to chip, and you might see some wear and tear over the years with that. With the new Rogue E-Coat, obviously it is E-coated, hence its name. It was actually created for like the automotive industry, but is now being used on things like the kettlebell or even the Rogue Ohio bar. I know that Coop over at our main channel, Garage Gym Reviews, has done an extensive review on the Rogue Ohio bar. It's honestly one of our favorites. So I'm not surprised that the Rogue kettlebells are like quickly gathering traction and becoming some of our favorite kettlebells here as well. Now, E-Coat is superior to Powder Coat in a couple of reasons. One, it doesn't have that rust or corrosion that we might find with the Powder Coat. So even if you bang them together, their E-Coat is not going to chip away. Now, this is my biggest thing. This is the reason why I find that the E-Coat kettlebell is better than a powder coat kettlebell, okay? With a powder coat kettlebell, obviously you have your cast, you have your iron, you've placed the kettlebell in that cast, you take it off, and then you do a heavy coating of that powder coat. When you do that heavy coating, it generally takes away a little bit of the grittiness, a little bit of the grip from the handlebar. So this is actually pretty smooth. It's not as smooth as some of the cheaper ones that I have found, but generally like it is a little bit more of a smooth texture. With the E-Coat, you only have to do a very thin layer. So you're actually gonna get a little bit more of that grip, a little bit more of that grittiness from that original cast. And I think that overall, I would rather have like a grippier kettlebell, especially if you're working out at like a CrossFit box or in your garage gym and you have no AC unit during the summer and it's getting like hot and sweaty. You don't want to feel like that kettlebell is going to like fly off of your hands during a kettlebell swing. Truth be told, the powder coat, it might like look a little bit more refined. The E-Coat has like a little bit of imperfections in it, but I actually really like that. My personal experience, I've done bottoms up press, I've done kettlebell swings, we've done clean and jerks, we've done snatches, all with the kettlebells, and I would choose the E-Coat. Now, overall, I mean, they're the same price point, but the E-Coat is made in the USA, whereas the powder coats are not, as well as they have a little bit more grippiness, and again, they cost the same. So overall, if you're looking for a new kettlebell, I would definitely give the Rogue E-Coat ones a try over the powder coat. Let us know if you do that. Let us know your experience with that, and if you like that, we'd love to know. Leave a comment. This has been Lindsay with Garage Gym Reviews. Peace.